Hi, it's Dr. Parikh, and we're looking at the reference page now. So if we look back at, so we're in the literature review, and you scroll down and the reference page comes up as one of your early assignments. So there's the video for the reference page, which you're watching right now. The template is still the same literature review template that we used for the title page. There's also a peer review form. I don't think that I have specific peer review times planned, but I have the form because I've used it in the past, and so I certainly want to give it to you because it's a nice way to just do a self-check. And you can always exchange with a peer anyway. So as a reminder, you have to upload a document to get graded. You can also choose to upload a link to a Google Doc and keep working in that same document. And if I have a comment, I'll comment over there. Sending me a link isn't a guarantee that I'm going to do lots of detailed comments and changes on your document, but it means if I do want to give you feedback, it'll happen in the document instead of Blackboard most of the time. Again, there could be some weird time where I'm like grading on my iPad and it just isn't working to do in the document, but for the most part, if you include a link, I'll go to the link. So you need, for this assignment, you need at least 3 articles. As a reminder, you'll add a 4th one on later, but for now, just 3 articles. And for this, you're also going to submit your articles again. Now, you uploaded your articles already for me. So what's different here? So when I'm in grading something, I can't just like zip over to another assignment you've submitted. I can only look at one submission. I can't even look, let's say you post your reference page and then realize you forgot to add the articles, so you post again, you submit again with just the articles attached. That does me no good. I can't jump between submissions and leave the rubrics open. I can only look at one submission at a time. So if you forget something, you have to upload everything again. The reason I want the articles there is if I'm not sure, let's say a name looks funny to me, if you have them attached, I can just look at the file, look at the way it is, and see exactly what's going on. So let's look at the reference page. It's all the way at the end of the template. And I've given, so I show you exactly what goes at the top. It's not bolded. It seems like it should be, but it's not. And then I model a few different just silly made-up articles. One thing, actually, I will fix this, and hopefully it will stay fixed, because this is the sample. You don't need to put DX anymore. You can just put DOI.org. I think they actually prefer HTTPS. Sorry, that was a distraction. So first thing you do is the author's names. Note the spacing. Some students lose points. It's very particular, but it makes it easier to read when you stick to the format. So there's an initial, a period, a space. Some people don't include middle initials on their publications. Just follow whatever it is. Sometimes names can be hard to distinguish. For example, when I publish, I like to use Tedrick Parikh as my full last name, but I don't hyphenate, so it's hard for people to figure out what to do with that. If you're not sure, I recommend looking in the author, in either try to Google to find the author and see how they use their name, or look in their own reference list. Most people are building on their prior work, so most people cite themselves at least once. So if they cite themselves a certain way, you can assume that that's the correct way to go. Just do your best. There's a comma after each name before the ampersand. If you have more than 7, I believe it is, I always have to look up that rule, but if you have more than 7 authors, you have to do some weird stuff with ellipses. Just look up the rules and follow what it says. This is a good time to note the library's website will auto-generate APA references for you. Do not trust them. They have systematic mistakes and sometimes just occasional weird quirks. One of the things they typically do, you notice how here, this is meant to be the article title. Only the first word is italicized. If there's a semicolon, you italicize that. Sometimes there's a question mark in the middle, but the libraries will often capitalize more than just that. They also tend to capitalize even the small words in a journal title. Journal titles, all the important words get capitalized, but the ands, the ofs, the thes, those don't get capitalized. So you've got your author, you've got your year, in parentheses with a period. You've got the title of the journal. This would be like the, if you're thinking magazine, this would be the name of the article that you're reading. Then you have the journal itself. Again, if we're thinking magazine, that would be like The Atlantic, The New Yorker, or Time Magazine. That's the name of the publisher. Or I'm sorry, not the name of the publisher, because there are big publishers like Springer who have lots of journals. But this is the specific journal, like the magazine, that it's published in. And journals actually are published like hard copy, most of them. A few are online only, but they actually come out several times a year like a little magazine. So you've got the title of the journal, and that's in italics. Now, mostly we've had periods after stuff so far, but here after the journal title, we have a comma. Then we have the journal issue number, the volume number italicized. The issue number right after it, you don't always need the issue number. Technically, you only need it if the article, if that particular, let's say I publish my journal in January and February and March. Normally, publishers will just keep the numbering system for the whole year. So if January is pages 1 through 72, February will start with 72 or 73 and go through 147. And then March will start with 148. That's how page number usually goes. A few journals start over with 1 every time they release. And so for volume 42, you might have 4 or even 12 different articles that all start on page 1. So you need to tell me which issue it is. I have you do the issue just to get in the habit, but in the real world, you only need to do that very occasionally. And then the page numbers. You don't need PP for pages or P or anything. You just have the numbers themselves. Occasionally, there are some online journals, PLOS One is the main one, where the page number, they don't do it printed. And so instead of doing actual 1 through 23, they have this E and then a weird long number with, I think, letters mixed in. So that's a little odd, but that's the way they do it. The last thing you need to include is a DOI. The old style was to do DOI, colon, and then the number. That's still technically acceptable for APA style, mostly because they haven't updated their paper manual. And this was the standard when the paper manual was released in 2007. It's not 2007 anymore. And so through their style blog, they've updated the rules. And they say now that their preferred method is to do it as a hyperlink. So HTTP, and actually they preferred https://doi.org, and then you paste the number. Does that go to an actual article? No. I have one over here. So here I'm looking at the article notes sample that I give you, and I include a DOI link that goes to the article. And this article happens to be available. I included the libraries. I don't know how this magically knows that I have access, but either way. So the DOI link, here you can see they have a link that you could copy and paste. But if you just paste it, so let's say I just paste it here, it's going to give you funky formatting. You don't want that. Hit undo. Instead, what I do is I copy it into the address bar, and then, paste it into the address bar, then I copy it again. Now it has no formatting. So wherever I paste it, it's just going to take up the formatting of that. I space to make it a nice link, and bada bing, bada boom, I've got a DOI link right there. You will lose points if you use the old DOI style. Very rarely for modern journal articles, but for some older ones or some ones in other fields other than psychology, you won't be able to find any kind of, I forgot that I made this one of mine. Occasionally, you won't be able to find any sort of DOI. If that's the case, you can include a link to the journal where it's published with the article. In this case, this one does have a DOI. The way you check that is you go to crossref.org. Crossref is your friend. Let me close out of some of these things. So I usually copy the title of the article that I'm looking at. It brings you up to search site. You don't want that. I don't even know what the rest of the site does, but you want to do search metadata, paste your title and search, and it pops right up. This is great because it clarifies almost any information. So it gives you the names for authors. It tells you the correct name of the journal. Now note, this has a lot of capital letters. When you format it in your reference page, only the first word and any proper nouns will have capital letters. It tells you what the journal is, Death Studies, the volume, the issue, the pages, and it also gives you the DOI. Let me see, what does copy link address do? Does that help? I'm just looking, I always like to know multiple ways. Yep, so there, if you just do copy link address, it doesn't keep the formatting for that either. I'm just undoing all this because this is still the document that I share with you. The rule for when you just include the journal page, if you do this, I will go looking for the DOI. If I can find the DOI, you lose points. If I can't find the DOI, then I look to see, you don't need any retrieve from or anything. You just paste the website, just like you would paste the link to the DOI. So then I'll check your formatting and give you feedback if it's off. But the vast majority of papers do have a DOI if you look in Crossref. And most of the time, it's fairly easy to find it. Here you can see, for example, Taylor Francis is the publisher. Here, Disaster Health is the journal, and they have the DOI. If you go over to this other article, you see it's still Taylor Francis. That's the publisher, but the journal now is Death Studies. But this journal, or this publisher, formats everything the same. So you can still find the DOI in the same place. And if you look at actual articles for things, let's see if we can download this PDF easily. You can also look at your printouts. Sometimes if there's a cover page, they have things. So if you look here, the authors are not formatted correctly. It's close to APA style, but it's not there. So you would have to make a lot of changes as you copy and paste it. Here, if you look at the front page of the journal, you see the journal name. Sometimes there's abbreviations. Write out the full name, especially medical journals tend to abbreviate stuff, but write out the full name, and it has the volume number. It's issue 3 to 4. I don't understand it, but that's how they do it. And if I am confused, I'll just type it into Crossref, because Crossref will clarify it. So I type it in here. And I look here, and sure enough, it says issue 3 to 4. Now, if I look at your work and I say, issue 3 to 4, what are you doing? I'm going to do exactly what you saw me do. I'm going to go to first I'll look at your article itself. If I'm still not clear, I will go to Crossref and see what Crossref says. So if you match what Crossref says, I will likely find it. And if I don't find it, you can email me and say, Dr. Parikh, you took off points, but I did what Crossref said. Can you look at it again? And again, I don't regrade, as in I don't grade a new submission so you can get credit for the things I told you to fix, but I will happily go back and check for mistakes if you can show me what you think I did wrong. Let me see, anything else? Oh, cite the journal website, not the library search page. You never want to link to Caldwell. Caldwell, when you do your search, it will produce something that looks like a DOI, but that has Caldwell written in it. Always check your DOI. It should be very simple, doi.org, and then the DOIs always start with 10 dot. If you have a bunch of garbage that says Caldwell in the middle, that's a permalink to the library's holdings. That's very nice for you to keep, but the whole point of DOIs is that anybody can access it. And so if you put that as your link, somebody outside of Caldwell University can't access it. So you can use that link as your starting point if you want, and just delete, but make sure you're deleting it from the whole thing, the actual link that's in there. So for example, earlier you saw me delete the DX. It just took it out of my written. It didn't actually change the link. So you got to change the link if you want to make those, if you want to start from the library's links. Once you're done, again, you just would download as a PDF, or you might have done this whole thing in Microsoft Word, in which case you can upload the doc file or you can upload the PDF. If you're trying to use Pages, you would upload the PDF. Pages is a little finicky with some of the formatting, but you can try if you want. I think that's everything I need to tell you about your references. So for this assignment, I expect 3. Your final paper will have at least 4, but I want to give you time to get to know the articles you picked before you choose that 4th one, so you can find one that really binds everything together. Thanks for watching. Bye.